Norman, let me ask you about what Labour are saying today. We're actually going to talk to one of their shadow Treasury ministers, James Murray, a little bit later this hour, actually. This is about an idea that Rachel Reeves has, the shadow Chancellor, to raise over £5 billion a year to fund pledges for NHS and breakfast clubs. This is cracking down on tax dodgers. Is this possible? Is this a workable plan, do you think, Norman?
Yes, it is. I mean, look, it's also another drop in the ocean, quite frankly, in terms of public expenditure. You think about how much was wasted on PPE equipment, $5 billion, again, to use Alicia's phrase, fairly touches the sides. But I mean, look, it's welcome because of the huge amount of tax avoidance and indeed tax evasion, which is the illegal version, going on in this country. And while we've been quite good at clamping down on benefit fraud, as we should do, we've not been very good at dealing with people who are earning a huge amount of money, not paying their taxes properly. So whatever happens, it needs to be done. But it won't actually solve the problem of public spending because the Tories have baked into future plans big cuts in public expenditure after the election. And then Labour's going to find either they've got to cut those services or there's some more money's got to be found. 11 billion won't do it, or 5 billion won't do it.
Norman, do you think it's wise for Labour to bring this up at a time when Angela Rayner is under the spotlight for her own tax affairs?
Well, she's under the spotlight for, I think, about £3,000. I mean, we'll turn out whether or not she's broken the law or behaved inappropriately. But, I mean, that's a tiny thing compared to the huge amount of money given to, frankly, Conservative donors for dodgy PPE equipment, which doesn't work. Money which hasn't been recovered.
They're still both potentially, hypothetically wrong, though.
Yes. I mean, look, if she's done something wrong, she has to be held to account for it. That's very clear. But on the big scale of things, it's not a very large sum compared to the huge amounts not being paid in tax by people who are very wealthy.
Moving on now, we're going to be talking, Alicia, about council bosses, because for the 9th year in a row, council salaries have been growing to above £100,000. We're in the midst of a cost of living crisis. Council tax bills are through the roof. How do you think this is going to play out?
I mean, all I can say is there's a bit of a trend here, isn't there? We've got water company bosses making record profits. We've got council, heads of the councils earning more money than ever, yet the consumer is paying more money than ever as well. So there seems to be
for less
trend
and less.
For less and less and less. And what is constantly being told to the public is we have to up the prices of certain things in order to, make ends meet. But then you hear things like this, and I'm sure it just makes people feel really, really angry. I mean, we're in a cost of living crisis at the moment. Council taxes getting higher and higher. Obviously, people will have been slapped with those bills really recently and noticed a sizable increase on top of so many other increasing costs at the moment.
This is incredible. Felicity Rowe, who was former Director of Culture at Hampshire Council, she received £651,000 in total remuneration. So that's including a pension payment, loss of office payment, and a salary of 120 grand. Norman, why are council bosses getting that kind of significant amount of money when MPs earn a fraction of that?
Well, indeed. I mean, but the comparison is actually with civil servants because the councils themselves aren't earning that much money. So they're the comparison with MPs. The people who are earning money are the chief executives and the heads of departments who are equivalent to civil servants. But look, I mean, there are far too many people earning far too much money who aren't doing a proper job. But it's not accurate to say that if they weren't paid the money, councils would be in good health. They wouldn't be, because councils over the last 10 years have seen huge cuts to their funding from central government. And many councils which are well run, as well as some which aren't well run, are now facing bankruptcy. So although this is indefensible in terms of salaries, it wouldn't actually make the council tax situation a great deal better.
Well, thank you so much to both of you, Alicia Fitzgerald in the studio and former Home Office Minister Norman Baker down the line.